So, if you don't know what radians are, they're another way to measure angles. And you should probably be familiar with degrees by now. They are the first way that you were taught to measure angles. And you should know that a circle is 360 degrees, and a straight line or half a circle is 180 degrees, like I've labeled here. And what a radian is since the ratio from the radius to the diameter is the same in every single circle. So if I draw a circle like this, and this is the ratio of the radius to the diameter is always the same no matter how big the circle is. So what we can do is take this radius and put it onto the diameter like this. Say these two are the same length. If these are the same length, then this angle that this makes, we can call this 1 radian. And since the ratio of the radius to the diameter is always the same no matter how big the circle is, the value of this angle won't change or increase or like decrease depending on how big your circle or angle is. So this is 1 radian, and since circumference equals 2 r pi, the radius ratio to the circumference is 2 pi. So that means there are 2 pi radians in every 360 or circle. And that also means that for 180 degrees, there is pi radians. So what we can do is replace this 180 degrees with pi and 360 degrees with 2 pi, because that is what the angles are equivalent to in radian measures. So again, 180 degrees is equal to pi radians, and 360 degrees is equal to 2 pi radians. And in order to convert angle measures between the two, for degrees to turn into radians, you need to multiply the angle measure by pi over 180, and radians to degrees, you need to multiply it by 180 over pi. So for example, if your degree measure is 180 and you want to multiply it by pi over 180 to turn it into radians. So 180 degrees, we already said it is pi radians. So if you multiply it by pi over 180, we should get pi. And we do, because this cancels out and we get pi. And if we want to convert radians to degrees, let's say 2 pi radians to degrees, then we need to multiply 2 pi times 180 over pi. And we should get 360, because we already said before, 2 pi radians is equal to 360 degrees. And these pi cancel out and we get 2 times 180, which is 360 degrees. So both of these work. And a trick to remember this is that if you want to convert degrees to radians, you put the radian on top. What I mean by that is degrees to radians, you have pi on top, which is the radian measure for half a circle. And if you want to convert radians to degrees, you put the degrees measure on top. 180 degrees is a measure for half a circle. And as an example, if we have an angle measure of 45 degrees and we want to convert it into radians, we need to multiply it by pi over 180, because if we want to change it into radians, we need to put the radian measure for half a circle on the top, which is pi. So what we can do to change it into radians is multiply 45 by pi over 180, not 180 over pi. And we get 45 pi over 180, which is just equal to pi over 4. And we have our answer. 45 degrees is equal to pi over 4 radians. And another example, if we want to convert this pi over 9 radians to degrees, we need to multiply it by 180 over pi. And as we explained before, if you want to convert radians into degrees, we must put the degree measure for half a circle on the top, which is 180. So for this, we can multiply pi over 9 radians by 180 over pi. Again, not pi over 180, because we're converting to degrees. And then we get 180 pi over 9 pi. And these pi cancel out, and we get 20 degrees. And that's our answer. So pi over 9 is equal to 20 degrees. And again, if you want to convert to degrees, we must put degree measured for half a circle on top. And if you want to convert to radians, we need to put the radian measure for half a circle on top. Now let's do some practice problems. This one asks to convert 135 degrees to radians. And since we're converting to radians, in the fraction that we multiply 135 by, we need to put pi on top because that's the radian measure for half a circle. So we multiply 135 degrees by pi over 180. And this gives us 135 pi over 180, which is just 3 pi over 4. And that's our answer. Pretty simple. So all we needed to do to convert degrees to radians is multiply it by one simple fraction, pi over 180. Now let's do another practice problem. If you think you know how to do this one, then pause the video and do it. But this problem asks to convert 2 radians to degrees, and this radian measure doesn't have pi in it, so it's going to be a little bit trickier, but it's still the same steps. So since we're converting to degrees, we need to write 2 multiplied by 180, because 180 is the degree measure for half a circle, over pi. And then we get 360 over pi. Now, if you did not have a calculator, this is where you would usually stop. But usually you would have a calculator in most cases. So whenever we have a degree measure with pi in it, we usually want to give an approximation of what it equals. We don't want to keep the pi as pi. We should only keep the pi if we're writing it as a radian measure. So 360 over pi, just put that into your calculator and you get approximately 114.6 degrees. So yeah. So again, if you don't have a calculator, you could probably just leave it as 360 over pi. But if you can, convert the pi into your calculator and just calculate it yourself. So everything that I went through and all the problems I explained in this video should teach you everything that you need to know about radians and how to convert them and everything about them. If you learned something from this video or if you enjoyed it, please consider liking and subscribing.